You picked GPT-4 6 months ago, built your entire application around it, and now your CFO is asking why the OpenAI bill looks like a car payment. Switching to Claude or Gemini should be a config change, but for a lot of teams, it turns into a 2-week rewrite. That gap between should be easy and actually painful is exactly where your framework choice either saves you or sinks you. Here's the uncomfortable truth about vendor lock-in with LLMs. It rarely comes from the model itself. The models are shockingly interchangeable at the API level. Lock-in creeps in through everything you build around the model. Your prompt formatting, your tool calling schemas, your streaming handlers, your token counting logic, and the dozens of provider-specific quirks you patched over during crunch time. The framework you choose determines whether those things live in one swappable layer or get smeared across your entire codebase. LangChain's whole pitch is abstraction. You write against a common interface, and swapping providers is genuinely close to changing one line. You go from chat OpenAI to chat Anthropic, adjust your API key, and in a clean project, it just works. The abstraction covers message formatting, tool binding, structured outputs, and streaming, so the provider becomes a plug-in detail rather than an architectural commitment. If portability is your top priority, this is a real, concrete advantage, and it's the reason a lot of teams tolerate LangChain's sprawling API surface. But that abstraction has a cost, and it shows up precisely when you need provider-specific power. Say Anthropic ships prompt caching, or OpenAI adds a new structured output mode, or Gemini exposes a massive context window with unique pricing. LangChain's lowest common denominator interface often lags behind these features or exposes them through awkward pass-through parameters. So you get portability, but you sometimes trade away the exact edge you switch providers to get. That's the classic abstraction tax, and it's worth naming out loud before you commit. CrewAI comes at this from a different angle. It's an orchestration framework built around agents, roles, and tasks, and underneath it leans on LangChain-style model wrappers for the actual LLM calls. So you still get provider swapping, but the real portability story with CrewAI is about your agent architecture. Your crew definitions, your task delegation, your agent roles, those are the assets you're protecting. The model powering each agent is meant to be a knob you turn, and you can even run different providers for different agents in the same crew, using a cheap model for routing and a premium one for reasoning. That distinction matters when you think about what mid-project actually means. If you're building a linear pipeline, retrieve, prompt, parse, respond, LangChain's clean model abstraction is probably all you need, and it keeps your swap surface tiny. But if your project is a multi-agent system where the real complexity lives in coordination, CrewAI protects the layer that would actually be expensive to rebuild. You're not just avoiding LLM lock-in, you're avoiding orchestration lock-in, which is a much deeper hole to climb out of. So the honest answer is this: neither framework fully immunizes you, and the safest move is discipline regardless of tool. Isolate your provider calls behind your own thin interface. Keep prompts in version-controlled templates instead of hard-coded strings, and write evaluation tests you can rerun against any model the day you switch. The framework helps, but your architecture is what makes the swap a Tuesday afternoon instead of a sprint. Tomorrow I'm breaking down that exact provider-agnostic wrapper pattern with real code you can drop into either framework. Subscribe so you catch it, because it's the piece that turns everything I just described into something you can actually ship.